A forgotten Maya city hidden for centuries was recently rediscovered by a student by accident. And now you're going to uncover it. So imagine this. You're an archaeology student working on your doctorate, your eyes glued to the computer screen. You're sifting through endless data online that's 10 years old, and then you spot it. A tiny, almost invisible outline hidden in the jungle forest. Could it be? This is how the story of Valeriana begins. An ancient Maya city that remained untouched for centuries, until a curious mind who knew what they were looking for and a late-night Google search brought it back to light. And here's the twist. Not a single leaf or speck of dirt was moved in the process. Friend, my name is Andrew, and welcome to the Mysteries of Latin America, where I tell stories of the myths, legends, history, and mysteries that have happened or are happening anywhere between the northern border of Mexico to the southern tip of Argentina and all across the Caribbean islands. I do this so that people like me who have roots in the region know our stories, but also for people who don't have roots in this region to know a little bit more about what goes into our cultural DNA. Today I'll tell the story of how an ancient city named Valeriana was recently rediscovered and why it's one of the most important Maya discoveries in decades. But before we get started, if you're curious for more stories like this, go ahead and ring the bell and hit the buttons. You know what to do. Now let's get to the rediscovery of Valeriana, the lost ancient Maya city. Our story kicks off with a digital data dig. Hardly the hands-on field work you'd expect in archaeology. The researcher who made this discovery was a PhD student from Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana, by the name of Luke Auld Thomas, who was focusing on the Maya civilization. He was digging through some research done by Mexican environmental scientists 10 years earlier, and in his words, "I was on something like page 16 of Google search and found a laser survey." The research he found led he and his professor Marcelo Canuto to analyze this data, which was produced using LIDAR data originally gathered by the Mexican scientists. Now, LIDAR, or light detection and ranging, is a remote sensing technology that uses laser pulses to measure distances, kind of like radar. Mounted on an aircraft, it sends thousands of tiny laser beams down to the ground which bounce back and return to the sensor. By analyzing the time it takes for each pulse to come back, LIDAR creates detailed 3D maps of the landscape, even through dense forests. What's impressive is that LIDAR can detect subtle contours, revealing hidden structures like buildings, roads, and walls that would otherwise stay buried under layers of soil or vegetation. And in the case of Valeriana, this technology allowed archaeologists to spot the massive Maya city without disturbing a single tree. The Mexican environmental team that had initially collected the data in 2013 did it to monitor for carbon stored in Mexico's forests, not for archaeology. However, once Auld Thomas and his team applied archaeological methods to the data, they uncovered the vast Maya city of Valeriana hidden beneath the jungle. At first glance, it was a few odd shapes, faint outlines, things that wouldn't mean much to anyone else. But to the archaeologists looking at this, it was the start of something massive. As they looked closer, they saw what could only be traces of ancient structures, not just isolated ruins, but a footprint that stretched out over miles. This was a full-fledged city, packed with residential and ceremonial complexes, connected by raised roads called speck and surrounded by clusters of pyramids. And in a surreal moment, they realized they weren't just looking at some isolated ruins. They'd stumbled upon a genuine lost Maya city right out of an adventure movie, a place that they would name Valeriana. But what makes Valeriana so fascinating? Picture the scale and organization of this site. The ancient Maya were known for their sprawling, highly organized cities, and Valeriana is no exception. It has pyramids, public plazas, even ball courts where the Maya once held their sacred ball game, which was a mix of sport, religion, and cosmic symbolism. The pyramids here weren't just towering structures. They were places of deep significance, possibly serving as temples for religious ceremonies and astronomical practices. And as the team mapped the city, other monumental structures began to emerge, giving a clear picture of Valeriana as a thriving, well-planned urban center. For example, in the northernmost part of the city, a curious architectural feature stands out. It's an amphitheater-like patio structure, a very distinct regional style that appears throughout Valeriana and hints at something very unique within the Maya world. Archaeologists believe that Valeriana dates back to the classic period of the Maya civilization, approximately from 250 to 900 AD. They estimate that the city likely reached its peak between 750 and 850 AD, making it well over 1,000 years old. Now, some of you might have the same question I did about the name of the discovery. Why name a site that's so important to the Maya civilization something not in the Maya language? Surely that would be a better fit, no? The site was named Valeriana because it was the choice of the archaeologists who made the discovery for practical reasons rather than historical or cultural ones. It's very often that newly discovered sites are given names based on local flora, fauna, or landmarks, and Valeriana was inspired by a nearby local lagoon. This kind of naming can help researchers distinguish new sites without imposing a culturally inaccurate Maya name, which has been done all throughout the Yucatan Peninsula, especially when the site's original name isn't yet known. That way later, if someone uncovers scripts or glyphs that reveal an original Maya name, then that name could be adopted to honor the site's true heritage. So, stay tuned. The real magic behind this discovery? Technology. Without disturbing a single leaf, LIDAR helped archaeologists see beneath the dense forest, revolutionizing how we uncover ancient sites. LIDAR was able to capture images below the forest cover, showing us hidden landscapes that would take who knows how many years to discover the old-fashioned way. In Valeriana's case, this technology exposed the city's massive scale, and unlike traditional excavation, it left the jungle 100% intact. LIDAR has become a game-changer in places like Campeche, where the jungle is really thick and dense. And now the stakes are very high to preserve these ancient sites. But what does Valeriana teach us about the Maya? First, it shows us that Maya civilization was more interconnected and widespread than we had realized. This city, nearly as expansive as Calakmul, as I mentioned, which if you're not familiar with Calakmul and only have heard of places like Chichen Itza or Uxmal, it's worth looking up or, even better, visiting, because Calakmul was one of the largest and most powerful Maya cities, covering around 70 square kilometers and boasting over 6,000 structures, including massive pyramids, which are rivaled only by Tikal in Guatemala as a dominant political and cultural force in the Maya world for centuries. And the discovery suggesting that Valeriana might have been a major center, politically, commercially, even religiously, in ways that we're just beginning to understand. Now, the surrounding jungle might seem remote today, but back then, this was a prime spot rich in resources and strategically located to be able to trade with other cities. And while Valeriana has fewer grandiose public structures compared to other Maya cities, its sheer density and organization indicate a highly developed urban society. This discovery of Valeriana reminds us that the story of the Maya civilization is far from being fully told. Each new site adds complexity to what we know about their society, resilience, and adaptability in tough environments. So now that Valeriana has re-emerged from the jungle, what's next? Archaeologists are already planning to dig deeper, literally. While LIDAR gave us the broad strokes of Valeriana's layout, real excavation will reveal the finer details, possibly finding pottery, tools, inscriptions, and artwork that hint at the lives of the people who built and lived in this city. But more importantly, places like Valeriana highlight the need for conservation. As archaeologists work to understand the site, there's an urgent push to protect it from threats like deforestation and development. Preserving Valeriana means keeping this ancient city intact so future generations can learn from its secrets. Friend, that wraps up today's story of Valeriana, a significant discovery that wouldn't have happened without the help of modern technology. For me, it's incredible to think of how something as basic as a simple internet search could open a chapter of history that we had no idea that we were missing. Now, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to keep exploring the myths, legends, history, and mysteries of Latin America, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And there are plenty of past episodes to get caught up on. What do you think about Valeriana's discovery? Could there be more cities hidden under dense foliage just waiting to be discovered? Friend, thanks for watching. And until next time, keep searching for the stories that keep us all connected to the past and to each other. My name is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next episode. Adios.